Have you ever received an invitation to a wedding or a family celebration that you felt obligated to attend, even though you knew it would stretch your budget? Or perhaps you've handed over money to your children or grandchildren out of love and a sense of duty, only to later realize it put your financial security at risk. If these scenarios sound familiar, you're not alone. Many of us, especially as we grow older, find ourselves in situations where our generosity or social obligations lead to financial regrets. This is why today's discussion is so important. We'll be diving deep into some of the most common financial mistakes that seniors make. Mistakes that, though often well-intentioned, can have lasting consequences on retirement savings, day-to-day living, and overall well-being. In this session, we'll cover practical strategies for navigating unexpected invitations, such as weddings or family events, and the financial strain that often comes with supporting loved ones. We'll also talk about why it's crucial to protect your savings, even when it feels like the right thing to do is to help others. You'll learn how to prioritize your financial health without guilt and find ways to enjoy life without overspending. We'll share actionable advice on how to allocate your retirement income wisely, avoid emotional spending traps, and build meaningful relationships with your family that don't depend on expensive gifts or outings. If you stay with us until the end, you'll discover how even small adjustments in your spending habits can lead to a more stable and peaceful retirement. Imagine feeling confident about your financial future, knowing that your hard-earned savings are secure and that your golden years will be spent enjoying life rather than stressing over money. For those who are new here, consider subscribing to this channel and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos filled with valuable lessons and insights. Your support means the world to us, and if you enjoy this video, please give it a like and share it with others who might benefit from the message. Now, we'd love to hear from you. If this topic resonates with you, comment 1 below. If you have suggestions for how we can improve or ideas for future videos, let us know by commenting 0. Your feedback helps us create content that truly serves your needs. Let's dive in and begin this journey to financial peace and empowerment in retirement. Have you ever found yourself invited to a wedding or family event that you felt you couldn't decline, even though attending would put a strain on your finances? Maybe you've received a sudden call from a relative or an old friend you haven't spoken to in years. "Hey, my son is getting married, and we're having a housewarming party. Please come." These kinds of invitations can feel impossible to say no to, especially when they come from people you're related to or care about, even if you haven't been in regular contact. This was the case for James Miller, a retired man living in Florida. Last year, James received invitations to 5 weddings. These were from distant relatives, former co-workers, and even neighbors he'd hardly interacted with in years. Though these invitations were kind and genuine, James felt a sense of obligation to attend. He worried that if he gave a modest gift, people might talk behind his back or think less of him. So, James ended up spending around $250 on each wedding, which included a gift, transportation costs, and even renting a suit for the occasion. In total, attending these 5 weddings cost James around $1,250, which was equivalent to 2 months' worth of his pension. Reflecting on this, James now realizes how unnecessary this spending was, especially considering that he had limited funds in retirement. He deeply regrets spending so much money on these spontaneous invitations from people he hadn't been in close contact with for years. What made matters even more difficult was that only 6 months later, James found himself unexpectedly hospitalized due to a health condition. He was faced with significant medical expenses and had to rely on his children for financial help. This situation, where a sudden need for medical care collides with poor financial decisions made earlier, can be all too common among seniors. Many elderly individuals find themselves making unnecessary purchases or giving more than they can afford, all in the name of preserving their reputation or trying to maintain a certain image in society. So, how should you handle situations like this? First and foremost, it's important to remember that it's okay to decline invitations from people you don't regularly interact with. You can politely explain that you're focusing on your health or have other family commitments. This is a perfectly reasonable excuse, and most people will understand. If you feel the need to attend, then consider adjusting the amount of money you give based on your financial situation. According to James, a modest gift of $50 or even less is often more than enough to convey your well wishes. Many younger people today value the sentiment behind the gift more than the price tag. So, there's no need to overextend yourself financially to meet what you think are social expectations. Another important area to watch out for is the pressure to purchase expensive commemorative items or memory albums at weddings. Even if the event staff encourages you to buy these items at a special discount for family members, it's crucial to decline. It's also essential to recognize that your pension is meant to support your well-being and health. Unlike your working years, it becomes much harder to increase your income in retirement. Once that money is spent, it's almost impossible to get it back. James has since learned a valuable lesson. As we age, celebration should be about conveying your feelings, not about how much money you spend. It's the thought that counts. Nowadays, I make handmade gifts or write heartfelt letters, and that's what brings people the most joy. Through this process, James has found a more fulfilling way to show appreciation, without sacrificing his financial security. His story is a reminder that, in our later years, it's important to focus on the sentiment rather than the financial cost of social gatherings. Let's continue our discussion on common financial mistakes made by seniors. One of the most significant pitfalls many parents fall into is providing excessive financial support to their children, often at the expense of their own retirement security. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Take the story of David Miller, a retired man living in Ohio. 3 years ago, David's oldest son, Ethan, who was 35 at the time, came to him with an urgent request. Ethan, married with a young child, wanted to purchase a house but needed a down payment of $150,000. Feeling the weight of his family's future, David decided to help by giving most of his retirement savings. He thought this financial sacrifice would benefit his son and grandchildren in the long run. However, just 6 months later, David began to experience serious health problems. After several tests, doctors informed him that he needed surgery immediately to prevent further complications. The surgery was costly, $30,000, and after insurance, David was still responsible for $15,000. Unfortunately, because he had already depleted most of his savings to help his son, David found himself in a dire situation. He turned to Ethan for help, but Ethan, who was still struggling with his mortgage payments, couldn't assist him. Ethan apologized, saying, "I'm sorry, Dad, but I just don't have the means right now." David was forced to postpone his surgery, which only made his condition worse over time. When he finally had the surgery a year later, it was more complicated and required a longer recovery period. This painful experience taught David an invaluable lesson. He should have secured his financial safety first before helping his children. Unfortunately, many seniors find themselves in a similar situation. The costs of supporting children's housing loans, education fees, and living expenses can accumulate quickly without realizing the long-term financial burden it creates. The temptation to provide regular financial support, such as contributing to a child's mortgage, paying for their education, or covering their day-to-day expenses, can easily snowball. While $500 a month might seem manageable at first, over time, it becomes a strain on your finances. The problem isn't just about the financial strain. It can also undermine your children's sense of independence. Knowing that their parents will always bail them out may discourage them from taking responsibility for their financial solutions. So, how should you handle these requests for support? The priority should always be securing your funds for retirement, healthcare, and unforeseen expenses. It's essential to have a substantial reserve to cover medical costs, long-term care, and day-to-day living expenses, at least $100,000 or more, depending on your situation. If you do choose to help your children, it's crucial to keep it to one-time contributions, not regular monthly payments. David, after reflecting on his past choices, now says, Parental love doesn't always have to be shown with money. The greatest gift you can give your children is ensuring that you're financially secure in your old age. Now, rather than giving money, David prefers to spend quality time with his grandchildren, offering love and care in ways that don't deplete his finances. He realized that his family is much happier when they're together, creating memories instead of focusing on material support. In our later years, there's often a temptation to indulge in expensive trips and entertainment, especially when we think of them as a way to create lasting memories. Many advertisements target seniors, promising luxurious vacations and exclusive tours that seem like the perfect way to make the most of your golden years. However, it's crucial to be cautious of these enticing offers, especially travel packages and tours that appear to be too good to miss. Take the example of Robert Bob Miller, a retired school teacher from Arizona. After retiring, Bob felt it was time to treat himself to the trip of a lifetime. One day, he received an advertisement for a senior-only tour that seemed like a fantastic deal. The tour, normally priced at $9,800, was being offered for just $3,900. It was a 2-week trip through luxury hotels, from California to Florida, complete with fine dining and exclusive excursions. The offer seemed irresistible, and Bob, attracted by the steep discount, immediately signed up, imagining it would be a grand adventure. However, the actual experience turned out to be far from what he had imagined. While the accommodations were luxurious, every day included mandatory sales meetings where he was pressured to buy expensive health supplements, decorative items, and other exclusive products. These products were overpriced, and by the end of the trip, Bob had spent an additional $4,000 on items he didn't need. Including the cost of souvenirs, his total expenses came close to $8,000, equivalent to nearly 8 months of his pension. Reflecting on this, Bob says, "I thought I was getting a great deal, but it ended up costing me much more than I expected. That money could have been better spent elsewhere." The impact of this trip didn't just stop at the financial strain. It affected his everyday life after returning. To make up for the overspending, Bob had to cut back on his regular living expenses, and he had to postpone necessary medical checkups that he had been meaning to schedule. He soon realized that many bargain tours like this one have hidden traps. They might lure you in with promises of a low price, only to make up the difference through aggressive sales tactics or upsells. Other similar scams might involve free trips to resorts that turn into timeshare presentations or discounted cruises that require the purchase of costly, unnecessary products. So, does this mean you have to give up on traveling and entertainment altogether? Not at all. There are plenty of ways to enjoy life without stretching your budget too thin. When selecting travel packages, it's important to choose tours that are priced reasonably and offered by reputable, established travel agencies. Be wary of offers that seem too good to be true, especially those with limited time offers or special discounts that sound too perfect to pass up. Bob, after learning his lesson, now enjoys more budget-friendly travel options. Instead of expensive trips to far-flung destinations, he opts for day trips to local hot springs or nearby scenic areas. With transportation and entrance fees, these local outings cost him around $50 to $75 per trip, and he's found that they offer just as much joy and relaxation as the pricey luxury vacations he once favored. Not only is local travel more affordable, but it's also easier on the body and allows him to manage his health better, without the stress of long flights or extended stays. The same principle applies to entertainment. Rather than spending money on expensive hobbies, memberships, or costly activities, Bob now participates in community-based programs that offer great value and lasting fulfillment. He attends a local exercise class twice a week, which helps keep him fit and mentally sharp. The class costs very little, just $5 per session, and Bob has made several close friends in the process, enriching both his physical health and his social life. The experience is much more rewarding than buying expensive hobby supplies or paying for high-priced memberships. Bob now believes that the best things in life don't have to come with a hefty price tag. Finding joy in simpler pleasures, like spending time in nature or attending community events, has given him a much more satisfying and sustainable way to enjoy his later years. As we age, it's important to enjoy life to the fullest. After all, our later years should be a time of fulfillment, happiness, and meaningful experiences. However, how we choose to enjoy life must be balanced with the responsibility of maintaining financial stability. It's crucial to find ways to spend your limited retirement savings wisely so that you can enjoy a truly rich and secure old age. Unfortunately, there are many traps that prey on older individuals, especially when it comes to investment scams and the ever-growing market for health products. These scams often promise life-changing benefits or high returns, but once deceived, recovering those losses can be nearly impossible. Take the case of Thomas "Tom" Lewis, a retired engineer from Texas. Last year, Tom was approached by an old acquaintance, a man he had previously trusted. The friend invited him to invest in a cryptocurrency venture that promised to triple any investment within just 3 months. The pitch seemed convincing. Tom's friend appeared to be making money from the deal, and the offer seemed too good to pass up. Motivated by the desire to make the most of his remaining savings, Tom decided to invest $10,000 of his retirement funds. However, right after investing, things quickly went south. The platform he invested in suffered a system malfunction, and Tom was unable to access or withdraw his funds. Worse still, he was pressured to invest an additional $5,000 to recover his initial investment. The reasons for this continued to change, and eventually, Tom found himself losing a total of $15,000. Only later did he discover that his friend had also been scammed and was attempting to recoup his losses by bringing in new investors. This type of financial deception is all too common, especially in the world of cryptocurrency, which often attracts scammers looking to take advantage of those who aren't familiar with the technology. Tom's painful experience serves as a cautionary tale. Once your money is lost to a scam, it is incredibly hard to get it back. In addition to scams, seniors are frequently targeted with expensive health products that promise to improve their quality of life or cure various ailments. For example, Tom was convinced by a local salesperson to purchase what was marketed as miracle health foods. These products supposedly had the power to prevent serious illnesses like cancer and dementia, and the pitch claimed they could save him thousands in medical expenses. Thinking it was a wise investment in his health, Tom ended up spending $300 each month on these supplements. For an entire year, Tom faithfully took the healthy foods, believing they were making a difference. However, after a year of using the products, he didn't feel any improvements, and his health remained the same. Worse, he found that these supplements were costing him $3,600 annually, equivalent to 3 months of his pension. His finances were strained, and despite the large expenditure, he didn't see any of the promised benefits. This scenario highlights a common issue that many retirees face: the pressure to spend money on health products that seem too good to be true. Often, these products are sold at inflated prices with exaggerated claims. Unfortunately, the real cost is felt in both health and finances, especially when the benefits are non-existent. Another troubling trend is the growing number of free health seminars that are disguised sales events for expensive health equipment and supplements. These seminars often offer free health checkups or lunch and learn sessions, but the catch is that they typically turn into aggressive sales pitches for products that can cost thousands of dollars. Seniors attending these events are lured by the promise of free services, only to be pressured into purchasing products that may not have any proven effectiveness. Tom's experience with the health food scam and other deceptive practices is not unique. Many seniors fall victim to these types of schemes, which are designed to take advantage of their trust and desire for better health in their later years. So, how can you protect yourself from these scams and make better financial decisions? First, be highly skeptical of offers that seem too good to be true, whether it's in the form of investment opportunities or health products. If an investment promises extraordinarily high returns with little risk, it's almost certainly a scam. Similarly, when it comes to health products, always consult with a trusted doctor before making any significant purchases. Many supplements have no scientific backing and are simply a way for companies to profit off vulnerable individuals. Additionally, when invited to free seminars or presentations, approach them with caution. If you feel uncomfortable or pressured during any part of the event, it's best to walk away. Protecting your financial future means safeguarding your hard-earned money from those who seek to take advantage of your trust. Tom now wishes he had been more cautious with both his investments and health purchases. He's learned that true health and financial well-being come from making informed, cautious decisions rather than chasing quick fixes. Today, Tom advises others to take a step back, do their research, and never let emotions drive major financial decisions. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. So, how can you protect yourself from falling for scams and high-pressure solicitations? The first step is to be cautious of offers that seem too good to be true. Phrases like higher than usual returns, special discounts, limited time offers, and exclusive bonuses should immediately raise a red flag. These kinds of offers are often designed to create a sense of urgency, encouraging you to make decisions quickly without taking the time to think things through. If something sounds better than usual, it often means there's a hidden agenda behind it. Even if the offer comes from a friend or acquaintance, it's important not to trust it blindly. Always take a moment to pause, think calmly, and do your due diligence before making any decisions. In the case of health food products, the best advice is to consult with your doctor before purchasing anything. Health products often make grandiose claims without scientific backing. For example, in the case of Tom Lewis, he was persuaded by a local salesperson to buy a health supplement that promised to prevent common age-related issues. However, after speaking with his physician, he learned there was no scientific evidence to support the product's claims, and he avoided spending money on something that would not benefit his health. Always consult a trusted healthcare professional when considering new health products, especially when they are being marketed with strong promises. One area where scams have become more prevalent is online investments. Scams targeting the elderly, promising guaranteed profits with no risk, have been on the rise. These scams often come in the form of investment opportunities on social media platforms or unsolicited messages. Be especially cautious when the offer seems to be too good to pass up. These high-risk scams often use emotional tactics to exploit your concerns about money. Tom now offers this strong advice. When you're worried about your financial future, it's tempting to believe that there's a quick way to double or triple your money, but that's the kind of thinking that leads to losing it all. Tom learned the hard way that the best way to manage his pension is to be steady, cautious, and thoughtful. The assets you accumulate in your later years are the result of many years of hard work, and protecting those assets is vital. One of the most important lessons Tom learned is the importance of having a strong will to immediately decline any suspicious offers. If something doesn't feel right, trust your instincts and walk away. Another significant financial issue that seniors face, which often goes unnoticed, is the tendency to overspend in family relationships. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that providing for your children or grandchildren is an essential part of being a loving family member. However, excessive spending on family members, particularly children and grandchildren, can quickly add up and strain your finances. For instance, Tom used to host family dinners every weekend. He enjoyed seeing his children and grandchildren and wanted to build cherished family memories. Even when buying food on sale at the grocery store, these dinners cost him around $100 each time. Hosting dinners 4 times a month meant that Tom was spending nearly $5,000 annually on family meals alone. At first, Tom didn't see it as a problem, but over time, the costs started to add up, especially when combined with the other expenses he was facing in retirement. While he wanted to provide for his family, he didn't realize how this regular expenditure was slowly draining his retirement savings. This is an area where many seniors can overlook how much they're spending because the costs are spread out over time. The desire to give your family the best experiences or to maintain strong bonds with them is admirable, but it's important to do so in a way that doesn't compromise your financial security. Tom Lewis, like many retirees, enjoyed spending time with his grandchildren and thought that giving them gifts was a way to show his love. He often bought toys for them, thinking it was a sweet gesture that would make them happy. Each toy typically costs between $30 to $50, and over the year, Tom spent around $2,400 on toys alone. Additionally, during the holidays, Tom would give each of his 3 grandchildren $300 as New Year's money, and he would prepare extravagant meals for New Year and the Oban holiday, spending about $500 on each occasion. At first, Tom didn't see this as a problem. He thought that the money he was spending on his family's happiness was well worth it. However, as the expenses piled up, Tom began to realize that his monthly pension wasn't enough to cover his regular living costs. He found himself dipping into his savings to make ends meet. The breaking point came when he needed an unexpected $5,000 for medical expenses due to a hospitalization. Faced with an urgent situation, he realized just how strained his finances had become. This experience prompted Tom to have an important realization. Family bonds cannot always be measured with money. While he intended to provide for his family, the constant financial outlay had unintended consequences. He came to understand that his frequent family dinners were becoming a burden on his finances, and his son and daughter-in-law were also feeling the strain. They had their commitments, including busy weekends with their children's extracurricular activities, and the pressure to attend weekly dinners was starting to take its toll. Furthermore, the toys Tom bought for his grandchildren started to create an unhealthy dynamic. His grandchildren began to associate visiting Grandpa with receiving gifts, which shifted the focus of their interactions from spending quality time together to expecting material rewards. Tom realized that this was undermining the genuine connection he wanted to foster with them. In light of these realizations, Tom decided to make changes to how he interacted with his family. He reduced his weekend family dinners to once a month, instead suggesting that they have picnic lunches at a nearby park. Tom would prepare simple homemade rice balls and seasonal pickles for the family, which only cost about $15 per meal. This change allowed Tom to spend quality time with his family without the financial strain of extravagant meals. Additionally, Tom limited the toys he bought for his grandchildren to just birthdays and New Year, focusing more on meaningful activities like doing origami together or playing in the garden. By shifting the focus from material gifts to shared experiences, Tom found that the relationships with his grandchildren deepened. They were bonding through meaningful activities, not just the exchange of presents. During the New Year and Oban, Tom also decided to prioritize cooking together with his family instead of preparing luxurious meals. This shift not only alleviated the financial burden but also allowed them to strengthen their family bonds by spending time together in a more meaningful way. Tom's decision to scale back on spending and focus more on time spent together, rather than material things, led to greater happiness for both him and his family. He found that enjoying each other's company without the pressure of financial spending brought them closer. As a result, Tom learned that sometimes the best way to show love is not by giving money or extravagant gifts, but by simply being present and creating memories together. As Tom Lewis continued to reflect on his spending habits, he realized that even small changes in how he approached gifting could make a big difference. For instance, when it came to giving New Year's money to his grandchildren, Tom set a more reasonable amount, ranging from $10 to $50 depending on the child's age. This not only reduced his expenses but also served as a valuable opportunity to teach his grandchildren about the value of money. Rather than simply handing out cash, Tom took the time to explain the importance of saving and budgeting, imparting lessons that would benefit them throughout their lives. By re-evaluating his expenditures in this way, Tom was able to save nearly $10,000 annually, which allowed him to stretch his pension further. More importantly, the quality of his family relationships improved as well. Without the pressure of lavish spending, Tom discovered that his family now genuinely enjoyed their time together. They had deeper, more meaningful conversations, and they valued each other's company, not the material things they could exchange. Tom felt deeply fulfilled, knowing that his family's bond was now built on heartfelt interactions rather than financial gestures. This experience brought Tom to an important realization that many seniors face. Once money is spent, it's often impossible to recover it, especially in retirement. Unlike in the working years, when there's still an opportunity to earn more, pension life is finite. This means that every decision must be carefully weighed. One of the biggest traps to avoid is spending based on emotions. When we hear phrases like "for your children," "for your grandchildren," or "for the future," it's easy to get swept up in the desire to provide and show love through financial means. However, making emotional decisions can cloud our judgment and lead to overspending. The most important aspect of retirement is ensuring that you have enough funds to support your health and well-being. After all, in your later years, health-related expenses are likely to increase, and you need to be financially prepared for them. So, how should you go about making smarter financial decisions in retirement? If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. A good rule of thumb is to divide your pension income into 3 main categories. First, allocate 50% for your living necessities, such as housing, food, and utilities. Next, set aside 30% for medical expenses, ensuring you have a reserve for any unforeseen health needs or long-term care. Finally, the remaining 20% can be used for your enjoyment, whether that's traveling, hobbies, or saving for special occasions. By adhering to this allocation, you can ensure that your essential needs are covered, while also giving yourself the freedom to enjoy life without jeopardizing your financial security. Tom found that this approach allowed him to manage his pension with confidence, knowing that his health and daily needs were well taken care of. It's also crucial to always ask yourself whether an expense is truly necessary. When faced with a larger purchase or financial commitment, especially one that exceeds $1,000, take the time to think it over carefully. Avoid making impulsive decisions driven by emotions, and instead, give yourself the time to weigh the pros and cons. In many cases, taking a week to consider whether the expense is truly worth it can lead to better, more thoughtful financial choices. In family relationships, Tom realized that the best way to show love was not through extravagant meals or expensive gifts. These things often created unnecessary pressure and took away from the true meaning of spending time together. Instead, Tom focused on valuing the time he spent with his loved ones, sharing stories, laughter, and meaningful conversations. By doing so, he found that his relationships with his children and grandchildren deepened, and his family grew closer. Tom's story is a powerful reminder that in retirement, financial decisions must be made with care and consideration. It's not about how much money you can spend on others, but about how well you can manage your resources to ensure a comfortable, fulfilling life for yourself. By prioritizing your well-being, managing your finances wisely, and valuing meaningful interactions over material gifts, you can create lasting happiness without compromising your financial future. We've covered a lot of important points today about managing your finances wisely in retirement. From avoiding emotional spending to teaching valuable lessons to your loved ones, and from protecting yourself from scams to creating meaningful family connections, it's clear that small changes in our spending habits can lead to a more secure and fulfilling future. So, what have you learned so far? What's one thing you'll start doing differently after watching this video? Whether it's setting a budget for your pension, reevaluating family gift giving, or being more cautious with investment opportunities, we'd love to hear what resonates with you. Please leave your comment below and let us know one thing you plan to put into practice in your own life. If you enjoyed this video, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us bring you more valuable content to help you live your best life. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to hearing from you.